The last chapter ended with Hashina and Narumi's arrival in the battle against the Daikaiju of the Meiriki era, which gave hope to the people and the defense force. Would this dream team be enough against the strongest kaiju? Let's find out. We continue the story in chapter 116. Here, Narumi began explaining that 4 years ago, at the 1st and 3rd Division joint training, from the moment he met Hashina, he never liked him. When he looked at him, Hashina saluted him and turned back around. In Narumi's mind, he commented that he had the type of face he hated, and it looked exactly like his brother Soichiro's. He tried to ignore it and questioned his status as a rank-and-file officer from the 3rd Division. However, he suddenly noticed something about Hashina's body, and when he looked at it carefully, he noticed a strange aura emanating from it. So he commented that it had a refined signal stream unlike that of a rank-and-file level. In the next scene, while Hashina was walking with his fellow troop members in a hallway, they encountered Narumi with his squad, and he called out to him. He ordered him to join the 1st Division, which shocked Hashina and the others. Narumi seriously explained that the 3rd Division didn't deserve him, and he was giving him permission to use his talent within the strongest division as his arms and legs. Hashina seemed unable to believe the idea of being a 1st Division member, while Narumi just smiled at him. However, Hashina turned him down and explained that he had already decided whom to follow. Narumi stopped at this, and Hashina bid him farewell. Because of this, he was left speechless as he was also embarrassed in front of his companions, and he explained to us that he became extremely angry with Hashina at that time because he turned him down, and his irritation increased when he learned that Hashina was chosen to be Mina Ashiro's vice captain, and in a tasteless turn of events, he said Hashina had beaten every one of his close-quarters combat records. After that, we returned to the present at his arrival on the battlefield, and here Hashina told him not to hold him back, and seriously called him Captain Narumi. Because of this, he became more irritated, and thought about how much he disliked this man. Mina was surprised by Narumi's arrival, while relief was visible on Keiji and Nagazaka's faces. Inside the shelter, the young boy whom Narumi had saved immediately noticed his arrival, and because of this, people shouted and cheered happily at his arrival. However, just as the young boy was about to happily say that everything would be okay, he was cut off when the Daikaiju sent its incantation attack toward Narumi, causing the destruction of the building he was standing on. The young boy's jaw dropped in fear and shock, but when the Daikaiju looked at where Narumi had been, it saw he wasn't there anymore, and when it turned to its side, it saw him there without a scratch from its attack. Narumi stared at the monster while saying in his mind that he could see it all. He called Hashina Bowl Cut, and while he was behind the Daikaiju, he irritably said he would cut that monster down, and he might include him in the process, to which Hashina replied not to worry as he would dodge it. After that, they both charged toward the monster with extraordinary speed, and when Narumi got close, he immediately used his squadron-style guns word technique number 2, /salvo, causing numerous explosions throughout the surroundings, with enough power to destroy nearby buildings. Kurusu explained here that when a captain-class officer engages in combat at full release, the area is designated as a danger zone for officers with unleashed combat power below 60%. He added that a captain-class officer's combat power reaches the level of a Daikaiju capable of engulfing other officers and killing them. This applies even more to Narumi, who becomes Kaiju number 1 and possesses Japan's strongest combat power. He said no officer in the world could survive within a 100-meter radius of him, but that was just what Kurusu thought, because despite these conditions, Hashina was freely moving within Narumi's domain. After Narumi's attack, Hashina immediately followed up with a straight horizontal slash at the Daikaiju's body, and Narumi quickly followed with his slash strike, which Hashina managed to dodge. After that, they followed up again with their respective strikes at the monster's front and back. Hashina demonstrated here that despite Narumi's destructive power, he could move and keep up with the battle. In an instant, the Daikaiju suddenly appeared behind Hashina, but Narumi quickly charged while telling Hashina not to duck there. Narumi delivered a slash attack and Hashina ducked to avoid being hit, while the Daikaiju used its phase shift move again to dodge. The monster teleported to the other side, But Narumi quickly read this and charged at it again. Ten shouted, asking who this incredibly strong man was, and told Hashina to let him fight him. Hashina silenced him and explained that Narumi was the one monster he didn't want to fight. In the control room, the assistant was amazed at what they were watching, and while this intense battle was happening, they commented that this was the tag team of the Japanese Defense Force's strongest close-quarters combatants. During this, Hashina looked at the unconscious Kafka and said in his mind that even if he survived this, he was too beaten up, so he couldn't let him fight anymore. He charged again and said that he and Narumi would face and take down this monster. He prepared to use his move number 6, 8-fold slasher, and Narumi matched it with his 7-branched sword from the other side of the monster. However, when their blades made contact with the Daikaiju, it stopped their attacks using just its hands without any difficulty. Shock was visible on their faces when this happened, and as a counter, the Daikaiju's body began to bulge as if about to explode. While this was happening, we went to Kafka's situation inside 8. As he sank into the depths of death, he could only curse because he could hear them still fighting while he could do nothing. He told himself here that he wasn't finished yet, so he forced himself to return to the battle. He continuously pushed himself to regain consciousness, and suddenly someone asked him if that was his desire, which confused him. The voice he heard asked again if continuing to fight was his desire, so Kafka asked who this was. The voice then asked if despite the severity of his wounds, he still wanted to return to the battlefield, to which Kafka asked again who this was, but quickly brushed it off and said it didn't matter who this voice was, and answered that it was his desire. He said he didn't care what happened to him. He wanted to join Mina and his other teammates and fight. It turned out that the one questioning him was the samurai he saw at the Ryune shrine where Hashina took him, and it said that it understood what he wanted, and if so, he should come with it to form a stronger connection with them. Kafka's eyes widened when he realized who this was, and suddenly a powerful lightning struck.